Hey everybody, and welcome back. We're going to do some more videos. It's been a little while. I got a little busy. So I thought what I would do is I don't know, get back and get down to some reality. I've been doing a lot of just looking at, stuff that's out there. And it all just seems so easy, master this and learn this so fast. So I thought I would get serious and get into some serious pipeline stuff. And I'm thinking, well, character design would be a good way to start. So I thought I would share with you something that happened which worked really well into the pipeline. So it's an absolutely true story that never happened, and I thought you would enjoy it. So this is my sketchbook, and it goes from, this, which is kind of a loose painting, just having fun, just a lot of, just a lot of drawing. And this stuff, goes back a ways. This sketchbook's about ready to retire. Retire means I just throw it on the floor. So that's why I'm trying not to finish sketchbooks because I can go back and look at them, but I'm not going to go, oh, gee, I'm going to go spend some time looking at me. No, it's kind of gross. So once I'm done with the sketchbook, I just throw it on the floor. And I got like 100 sketchbooks I'm drawing in. So this is back on a vacation. This morning I had coffee with one of the best animators in the industry, a dear, dear friend of 46 years, Leonard Robinson. He's the best. So he takes no responsibility for my lectures, by the way, but I did learn a lot from him over the years and still do. So this was some people that was in the coffee place, and you can tell they're people because they're not dogs, and because they bring dogs in there too. So here we go, and here's a woman. I call it woman sitting at computer or staring at computer, and so it's kind of fun. This I call woman in pink hat. It's deep, really deep stuff. But the other day I was in a restaurant. It was a rib place. It was really good. And I looked across the room and there was a fat lady. And I thought, God, I love drawing fat ladies. And the only thing better than drawing a fat lady is a fat old lady. And she was both. She was both old and fat, same with her friend. So I'm drawing her, and the server comes over and she goes, what is that? And I said, it's a fat lady. And she goes, well, you going to show it to her? And I said, no. She goes, you really probably should. So I went over and I said, hi, I don't know you, but I was drawing you because you're fat. And the server came over and said, I should show it to you. So this is you. And I think it looks like you because, you're both fat. So she goes, you're really rude. And I said, I know, but I do this for a living. I'm a professional. So she goes, well, why are you drawing me? I said, because that's how we learn to do what we do in our industry. We take it from what's around us. You see, we don't try to make things up. Like I'm not making you up because I don't have enough room in my brain to make you up. And then the lady next to her said, well, you're really rude. And I said, well, I drew you also, but you're not fat. You're just old. And she goes, well, what do you mean? I said, well, look at your flesh. I said, the meat is just kind of barely hanging off the bone, which is similar to the restaurant that we're at. It was really good ribs, they cook it for a long time. So the meat just kind of just falls off the bone. And I said, that's just like I mean, you must be cooking for a long time because, your meat muscles just falling off the bone. And the other lady goes, you're really rude. I said, I know I do this for a living. It's what I do. But I said, your meat stays on the bone because you got all that fat, kind of keeps it there. I said, but you remind me of Jasper and Horace. And she goes, you call excuse me? I said, no, Horace. She goes, excuse me? And I said, no, Jasper and Horace from 101 Dalmatians. I said, how old are you guys? So this is Jasper and this is Horace. And I go, you remind me of Horace and you remind me of Jasper. He says, this is how we start. We don't just start from zero. We start from something and it's usually around us, like in a restaurant. So I thought what I would do, and I should have found a way to get this to stay up here, but let's see. Oh, that worked. Okay, but you can't see it. So here we go. So here's this is Horace, you see? So we'll start with the blue pencil, and what we're going to do is she's got that kind of, already has that kind of fat person skull. Now, fat people, the fat starts here at the zygomatic process. So that's pretty cool. So she said to me, she goes, how can you draw Horace when you're, looking at me? She goes, I'm female and he's male. And I said, no, we changed that. We change the gender all the time. So the old other lady, she goes, oh yeah, like my granddaughter. I said, oh, of course, yeah. And she said, oh, like my grandson? I said, of course, we're always changing genders. It's not a problem. So here we go. And we're going to go like here. So this is combining Loomis with Riley with, everybody. I mean, it's just the lay-in of the head is the lay-in of the head. So we've got here, he's got kind of a flat head. So we're going to put in um, the mask for the eyes, and we're going to come down. I said, it's interesting. I didn't draw it, but you got a big nose, and old people, they get big noses. And she goes, that was rude. I said, well, I didn't, it was your nose. So you go here, you're going to put in the cheekbone here and the cheekbone here. And we got this huge mask, so that's cool. Now remember, with this pencil, we can do whatever we want. So, real free, and just put in all of the fundamentals. Don't leave it out. All right. Now, we're going to go long. This is kind of a milk call thing. So we go long, and then we're going to tuck in. Okay, so this tucks in. Remember, we draw through, we draw through, we draw through. So here's the mouth. Come back up here, cross contour down, feel the end of the nose. And I explained to her, I go, the reason that it's good that you have this big nose is because that's where we put the STDs. Well, her friend goes, now you cross the line. My friend does not have STDs. Of course she does, and so do you. STDs are scientific trajectory distribution systems. You see, STDs. So right here, the fact that you have this little bump in your nose, that's what we're going to arc. We arc those. Those are going to be the energy, and that's going to be the direction. And then you turn those when you arc it. So I'm going to arc your nose. Here we go. Now, this part here is coming down. That's one flesh. Okay, the labial navel fold, the labial nasal fold, right? And then we're going to come down here. This one here is another flesh, see? So we've got two, this one and this in front. But in animation world, they turned it into one. But you have to keep thinking of it as two. Got to keep structuring, okay? Then we're going to draw through, always draw through, and we're going to put in the cheek. So we got that. Okay. Now he's got his ear, which will be halfway between where his skull turns and the back. And I said, remember, man, this is also for you, because I can change your gender on a whim. It's kind of like teaching college. Okay, so then we go here, and then we come down, come around. There's his hair. Going to go through, so we're drawing through as if he didn't have the hat on. Going to draw through this way. Okay, and we're going to come around. And here's his turtleneck. Again, coming through. So we have to draw around. See? So we do that. And this way we can draw him at any position. Because like this woman, he's alive. She was barely alive. So this was perfect. And, okay, this is a tangent, not a tangent, but this is like a trajectory here. So we're going to go here. So apex, we're going to go off. Always don't have everything even. So we don't want to go like perfectly even. Have it kind of go off. So this is here. This is here. See, they're off center. Here we go. Then we're going to put in that wonderful Disney little triangle. Okay. Come on. Then this is going to go around, and it has to go to the other side. See, we're always drawing through. that could be the difference of your future. You know, if they go back to traditional animation for some reason, that could be the deciding factor of whether you get hired or not. Because some old person like me is going to be looking for that. Now, here, real quick, I'm going to interrupt myself. This is the shape of the hat. See, then we come back and do a concave. Some old person like me who doesn't want to have to redo your work all the time is going to be looking to see if you're drawing through. Okay? If you're not drawn through, it's going to fall apart really fast on the screen. So it's going to be wobbling all over the place. So we have his turtleneck. So my favorite thing is just to sit and draw. And I do it often. Like today, you know, having coffee with my friend, I got there at least a half hour early. So I can just sit. I'm going to be drawing the whole time with him anyways. But I like to just get there and just draw. And it's my favorite thing in the world. My favorite is the Getty. I go to the Getty. I have a library card with my picture on it now. So I'm a stack reader. And I just go and study. I love it. Yeah, I put on my headphones, total recluse. The cool part is that in this book, when I go to the Getty, thank you for asking, and I go to the shelf and I grab like the best drawing books, you know, like really beautiful stuff, I already own them. And it's kind of weird, you know, it's like not the old stuff, you know, I mean, I got a lot of old stuff too, but like most of the books that I would grab off the shelf that are in the library part, I already own because I'm pushing probably close to 2,000 books in here. So as artists, we study. So I'm going to have him looking at me because it's Horace, but it's actually the fat old lady. So it's kind of, I'm going to bring the cheek out more. I'm going to make her really fat. So I'm going to come out the center of the nose. So it's coming from the zygomatic process. So I have to draw that part and then draw through. So I'm drawing the parts of him that don't exist. You can't, they exist, but you can't see them. Here we go. You can't really see him. He's looking at me going, "You're rude." I said, "I know." Okay, so now we'll put this aside so you can see, you know, it's similar. See, it's similar. And I had no idea that I was going to do this lecture when I did this. But here's, you know, here's Horace. See, okay, let's bring this down. See, look at that. It's kind of close in a way. And then here's Jasper. See, so you can literally get your character design just by looking at people out in public or certain animals and like there's a certain dog or something. But you don't start from zero. Well, that's kind of silly. All right, let's go ahead and tighten this up a little bit. Okay, so come up with your mind of a one color that is your free color. So in this case, it's going to be the blue. And then for the other one, come up with your free, you know, your more tie down color. So after the lady found out that I was a animation teacher and I was just having fun, she was fine. Actually, none of it ever happened except that I did draw from across the room. Okay. But it's so funny when the server said, "Are you going to show them that?" And I thought she said, "Are you going to show them that they're fat?" Okay, here we go. Draw through, please, please, please draw through. I know that it's not always taught to you. Please, I've seen it. I've been in the room when it's not taught. And it just makes me panic. So I'm telling you, please draw through. It's just basic everyday drawing. Okay. One of the things we're doing at our school is what I just did. We're telling stories. With all the technology, the one part that's not going to be affected is tell a story. So let's get into it. So I was drawing this woman, and she was great. And then she was across the room. She had no idea. And I thought, what kind of story can I do from this? And I thought, well, what if I did this little fat narrative? And the whole idea is to be as rude as possible to get the attention of the student. There you go. So I'm going to keep getting this in your guys' heads because it still seems to be people are getting it. The artist is reclusive. Okay. So my favorite thing to do is to go to the Getty, put my headphones on and study. Then after I've been in there for a little while, the library, then I go out, headphones still on, and I sit and I draw the people while I'm having a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'll sit and draw everybody else having a great time. So that's kind of the weird part is I'm happy to be sitting off to the side watching everybody else have fun and not have to be part of it. I think the artist is probably the true voyeur, and we're always, observing and watching. So I'm very happy, if I want to talk to people, I'm social, but I'm very happy just to sit and watch everybody else. How do they respond? How are they responding to their stimuli of another person talking or the outside or reacting to something? I love that. And you can't, the whole idea to do that is just to be by yourself. Then I go into the galleries and again, headphones are still on and I'm watching the people watch the artwork and it's so fun. Why are they there? You got the boyfriend girlfriend type thing where the guy doesn't care. He just wants to impress the girlfriends. That's always cute. You got the people from, that are visiting, you got the gay couple that realizes they could be gay. It's LA, they don't have to hide anything. They could be openly affectionate. And I've many times at the Getty, when I've talking to different people, I say, you can be who you are. You're in Los Angeles. It's really cute. So you can see people just relaxing and being themselves. And I'm just kind of, if they talk to me, we talk, but I have my headphones on and just watching the scene, watching the scenario, you know, little kids who don't want to be there. The artist, you got the art school kid, who now gets to finally see the artwork, and you can see that excitement in their mind. I've given drawings away. One girl, she sat down next to me, this young kid, and she was from I think Peru or something, and she starts taking notes. This eye's a little bit too far away, and I go, "You're sitting looking at a Rubens, and you're taking notes. Are you an art student?" She said, "Yeah." So, we're talking, just had, just a very nice time. Eventually I told her, I said, I'm drawing, so I'm gonna put my headphones back on. But I actually gave her a free day at my school. She was just visiting for a little while. She was in San Diego afterwards. I said, here, call the school, get the Zoom, and you can be our guest. And she was, and everybody was so happy to talk to her and you just do a lot of kind things. But the whole idea, most of the time you're in your head. Excuse me. So I did something the other day. It was kind of fun. I'm really enjoying AI and chat. I use it, to do research for my, the work, instead of having to look through, sometimes you want to, what does the world think, and I'll put it in there and get more, research. But I thought, let's really have some fun going back to the old days. And I wrote, is Sheldon Bornstein long-winded? And it came back, no. It said no. It said he teaches with stories. Sheldon Bornstein's an educator who teaches with stories, who tends to go off topic quite often, but always comes back to make the point. So now we go back to the point. No, I'm not walking up to a woman and saying that she's fat. But if I was drawing this guy who I drew off model just now, but if I'm drawing Horace, get out there. you're working on this movie and it says that there's going to be this character and one's going to be thin and one's going to be heavy. Get out into the world. Put your headphones on. Have your sketchbook always open and start sketching what's around you. Take from life. Take from what is existent and then adjust it. See? And then adjust it a bit. And then I would continue to adjust this because he's off model. His eyes are too far apart. And then just keep doing it again and again and again. Don't be afraid of people. Turn to someone next to you and say, what do you see in this drawing? So that's kind of a, a true pipeline for character design. This you can take to the bank. Don't teach me your opinions. Don't teach me how bitchin' you are. Give me facts, everybody. Let's give our students what they need. Let's give them what they deserve, a pipeline. Number one, know who you're going to draw if you're designing a character. This is a guy who's fat. He's, kind of a goofy guy. Then get out there in the real world and start looking for the shapes that exist in the real world. Ask yourself who, what, why, and how. I always ask my clients my secret. I'm going to give you my secret. I always ask the client, what character in a movie in your mind best represents the character we're about to draw? And they'll tell you, and then start there. Man, I've had so many clients buy it on first draft because it's what they're looking for. See? So do that, who, what, why, and how, and don't be afraid to ask those questions. See? Um, Draw from life, draw from real. Okay? Then start playing with the shapes. Make them a little longer, a little bigger. That's your formula. And then show it around. Show it. Don't be afraid. Okay? To dedicate to the kind of stuff I'm seeing online, I'm not real happy because I want to give my students real pipelines from real situations. Let's end with some online learning. Okay, it's all about three things. You want to master drawing, you want to master, it's only three. You want to master, you want to be a master. There's never been a master. The masters died wanting to be masters. There's never been, but you can master it. You can master it in three. The answer is three. The reason why it's three is because three is not one, and one's not two, and two's not three, and three is not one, and one is not two, or three, one, or two. But in the end, they all end up three. Think about it.